I had a friend one time.
Bone and lamb.
Bone and lamb.
I knew you were going to say that.
Who came straight up to me.
I knew you were going to say that.
And he said, you have to understand, I got to do the face expressions, everything. He goes, Joe, do you like your haircut? And I said, I like it. It's okay. And he goes, well, does your wife like your haircut? And I said, well, yeah, she does. And he goes, well, then that's all that matters. I never.
Like in kindness and sincerity,
yeah,
right?
The thing is it ended there. So I never got to find out. I never got to.
You never got to find out.
I never got to find out. Never got to find out if Bona liked my haircut, because one would think he didn't. By the way that he asked the question.
You never do know. But hey, at least he said it nicely. He left you wondering for years, because I think that happened in 2005.
It was a long time ago.
Yes, literally 2005.
Somebody reminded me the other day.
It shows the It shows the importance and the power that words have. Because although he didn't hurt your feelings or anything, it has stuck with you now that many years later. How many years is that, babe?
That wasn't a great year for me, because something even worse happened to me that year.
What?
I was selling wood to a cabinet manufacturer in West Salem by the name of Buyer Cabinets. Love these guys. Great Harley riding customers of mine. The husband was huge. Jerry Buyer. Big old guy. His wife was, we'll just call her sweet, but very forward with her mouth. And one day she goes, if I had a son like you, I would have flushed him down the toilet. She said this to me.
Why?
What? It's kind of her humor. She probably, at least everybody tells me, she probably meant it as a term of endearment, sweet. How
would you mean that?
Kind of like when they say in kindergarten, you
named them publicly.
Kind of like in kindergarten, you're like,
can you beep out the name of the company, please?
When you pick on the people that you like, type of thing. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that she didn't realize is I went back to my office in tears about it, was sharing it with all of my coworkers.
In tears.
They were. You ask anybody at McDonald and Owen about the day that I came home, and that was said to me. I was very, very brokenhearted. I was crushed, babe. I was crushed.
That's sad to hear that. You didn't ever tell me about that one.
Yeah.
It happens.
Just a scar in my heart, babe. Just a scar in my heart.
Apparently, because we're talking about it now, right. How many years later?
What's something somebody said to you that really hurt you?
Well, I don't know. People have said a lot of hurtful things to me.
That's what I mean. One of those ones that maybe they wouldn't have known, but it really left its mark.
I think I don't know if it's what people say to you or what they say behind your back that hurts worse.
Sure.
Because I feel like if you have the boldness to say it to somebody's face, you probably are broken in a different way than if you just say stuff behind their backs, right? Because we all have our stuff, right? So if I say something rude to somebody, that's an obvious, whoa, you need to work on that area, right? Whereas if I were to say something bad about somebody and then they found out about it, then that's a different area of my heart that would need to be whatever. I'm not trying to make it too deep, but people have said, I remember one time somebody, I'm not going to, because I don't want the person to hear it. One time somebody said something to me. Well, when I was a kid, I'm trying not to throw anybody under the bus publicly in case one of our 12 viewers is the people that have said hurtful things to me. But when I was a kid, elementary school, middle school, I got teased pretty bad about my eyes. Yeah. People called me bug. They hardcore gave me grief about my eyes and me looking like a bug or I guess an insect is a bug.
Is a bug.
A bug or an insect.
A bug or an insect.
I mean, I was they were you look like a bug or an insect. But
Take your pick, lady.
Yeah, take your pick. Whichever you wish. A bug or an insect. So, that was something that bothered me when I was a kid. I'd be try and make my eyes smaller.
Yeah.
And now I'm
well, it's your greatest,
fine.
It's your greatest feature.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, things like that hurt worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm hey, I have great real estate on my eyelids for doing makeup. Sorry to you people that teased me when I was a kid. Well, anyways, yeah, I mean, I think people have always I think most people are scared to say something to your face. Usually it's maybe family or people that are close in your life that say stupid crap that scars you.
Yeah.
I feel the stuff that you get that scars you the most outside of those relationships is usually stuff that you find out like a roundabout way that they're being said, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyways.
My favorite part of all this is all bonus material. This isn't what we're talking about today.
Oh, voices.
Voices.
Yes. Aren't we talking about voices?
No, we're not talking about voices. We're not. I think last week or our last time we were on here, we were talking about the power of words or the power of the tongue and all that fun stuff. So maybe this is just the.
What I was going to say is like in reference to our topic, as far as voices, is that we are inundated with what everybody thinks.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Right? Like whether it's about us, about politics, about COVID, about vaccines, about literally what church, worship team, you know, literally anything that you can think of, there are a majillion opinions.
What does that say about us as people? Like, are we gullible?
I would say no. I would say to me,
I mean, when you can have that many influential voices out there, and they can truly affect you. I mean, we're talking about a day and age where most of our information is coming from somewhere other than our own research or our own heartfelt feelings on stuff. It's something we read or something that somebody said, and we just
that kind of moves and we kind of shift.
And then we take it and own it. And
well, and I think some of it too is like, you know, when you're a kid, or let's say a teenager. When you're a teenager, you have, or here's a perfect example. One of our kids that will remain nameless, but she's 12 and a girl. She was talking yesterday about wanting to get, she's talked about it for a while, like wanting to get another earring hole.
Sure.
Like a, you know, like
another
second.
Earring hole.
What do you call it? A double piercing in her ears.
Nothing better than another earring hole.
And you know me, like I'm not like hardcore, I wouldn't say I'm hardcore strict. In some things, I feel like I probably am. But I'm not like hardcore strict. But when it comes to like changing your body, and especially because I have experience with it, I have like a million holes in my ears. I have tattoos everywhere. I have closed piercing holes all over myself. It's something that I'm very like, don't do it, you know? Sure. And she was like asking me like, why? And I was like, well, because right now you think it's going to be really cool and you're going to love it. But in a year or 5 years or 25 years, you're not going to probably wear two earrings. I'm like, I have like 4 or 5, like 6 holes in this ear and I wear 2. One, because it never comes out. It's like screwed into my ear. And then, you know, my regular hole that I just change all the time. And so I was saying,
keep calling it a hole.
They are holes. But I was trying to explain to her that like right now you're going to have this opinion about it, but when you're older, your opinion's going to change. And I think that is just such as life, right? Like there's things that I feel like even you and I have taken a hard stance on. Yeah. And then we've shifted our hard stance and then sometimes we've gone back. And I just think like as you're learning and as you're growing and as you're processing and as you're maturing, you're going to kind of shift your thoughts and opinions, which is why it's kind of funny to me that people get so like ate up and angry about opinions, like about like, if you don't think this way, then, you know, like I'm furious and I'm unfriending you, you know? And it's like, dude, like you might feel that way right now, but in 5 years you might actually completely change your mind, and like, then you've left some broken relationships in the. Yeah. And I mean, I think we're guilty too. Like we've definitely had hard stances on certain things, and I feel like the older I get, the more that I'm like, okay, the older I get, the less I know. Yeah. I know more about certain things, like what I don't know, but I think like you just as you mature and grow, you know,
and that, I think that's a part of growing. You know, you can be upset at the hard stances that you once had that you've grown past, but you may not have learned as much from them had you not had such a hard stance on that. And for me, I was actually thinking about that the other day. As you know, as we are getting inundated with information again, it's easy to grab, you know, picking a side, whatever. You know, you feel like you want to own some real estate in conversations these days, especially since people are being swayed, you know, in so many different, you know. And I've looked back in the past, okay, like cautiously, like, okay, do you want to take a hard stance on this or that? Because, like you said, there's kind of a graveyard
Of our hard stances,
hard stances that we've had in our life that we have far grown past. And I'm thankful for them. I think
for sure.
I think that's what makes us well-rounded.
Well, it's like
people.
who you are in those seasons anyway, right? It's like the way that you process and deal and understand in that season. And I feel like it's just going to be natural that those things shift. But it does make you have to think about the information that you're putting in and like what you're allowing to take residency in your mind and in your heart and in your guts, you know?